one of the really striking things which historians have found is when they looked at the papers, the private papers of the man who had become known as Christopher Columbus, he is annotating these travelogues, including Marco Polo's, and he's highlighting the mention of riches, of gold, of treasure. And this brings me to the direct question that you asked, Zaza, which is, Europe has, of course, been devastated in the 14th century by the Black Death. By decimating the European population, there are ways in which, paradoxically, the Black Death actually empowers ordinary workers in Europe because there's such a shortage of labor. But at the same time, there is a sense of Europe being isolated from the world, particularly after the fall of the Mongol Empire. And of course, there is extensive intra-European conflict, which eventually is what leads those on the far western fringes of Europe, the Iberian Peninsula, to start to seek an oceanic route to exactly those riches. And this is a moment where the European elite, the aristocracy, had already come to highly value fine spices, which at this point grew in only a very, very few places in the world. And often they didn't know where that was. My colleague at Yale, Paul Friedman, has wrote a brilliant book called Out of the East. He's a medieval European historian, in which he argues that actually India, the word India in the European imagination, the medieval period, just meant somewhere out there where these amazing delicacies come from, these spices. And it was through travelogues, it was through expanding knowledge of the world, it was through early maps and cartography that something more specific started to sort of emerge in the European imagination as to where these spices might be coming from.